With this, we go into our panel on districts. And I invite our moderator, Mr. Madan Mohan, Senior Fellow, Scotch Development Foundation and former CGM NABARD. He was also the CEO of NABARD Consulting. He has been associated with the foundation for nearly a decade. His area of expertise include credit, financial inclusion, and skill development. And he's currently working as consultant with the Ministry of Agriculture. And he's a faculty at Institute of Agribusiness Management and full-time faculty with National Institute of Banking and Corporate Studies. So welcome to you all once again. And with this, I pass on the baton into the able hands of Mr. Madan Mohan. Please. You are muted, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Gurucharan. And at the outset, let me extend a very warm welcome to the distinguished members of this panel. We have with us DM Mehboob-Nagar, Mr. Rao, I think is there. Then we have DC from Mon, Nagaland, Mr. Thuawasilan. We have Dr. Reddy, Collector and DM Kotagundam, and my friend and colleague at Scotch, GB Panda, Shri GB Pandaji, a senior Scotch Fellow and also a former senior advisor, Planning Commission. We are also joined by Shri Nirmal Bansalji, who is a senior Scotch Fellow, as also a very seasoned banker and expert in financial inclusion. He will be summing up and bringing out the recommendations of this panel.
Madan Mohanji, just got a message from Nirmalji. There is some COVID emergency at his place.
Oh.
So he will not be in a position to join. So I would request Mr. GB Panda to kindly do the needful of not only summing up, but also drawing recommendations from the panel.
Okay.
He's also there with you as a panelist, as a fellow panelist, and as well as recommendations. All right.
Right. So friends, I think at the outset, let me congratulate Scotch also for bringing out such a good topic, that is connected government. See, I have been looking after districts for almost 40 years, and I have seen how the district functionaries have been working all these years and how things have changed over years. Now, connected government to me would imply not only a sort of connect between the center and the state, but a connect between the state and the districts, because our structure, 3-tier structure, because state and district to again block to village. Unless that connection is ensured, things would not happen. The desired development will not take place with the pace which we are envisaging. So when we are talking of connect government, we'll have to include all this, though our focus as of today is on districts. Now, the question arises is why we are looking for this connect. The ultimate objective, as Guru Charanji was also telling, is to ensure that we provide fast and hassle-free services to our citizens. And not only that, the another thing is that as of now, obviously we cannot deny there is no corruption in our working and systems. So how do we reduce this corruption? How do we reduce this human intervention and make things move fast? Then accurate and timely availability of data is very, very important for planning and execution purposes. See, I remember I am basically a statistician, agri-statistician and economist. I know when we used to plan and work out things, we used to get data which was 3 years old, even from Planning Commission, 3 years, 4 years old. And we have to work everything on that because there were no other sources available. The terms like, estimate, because when the real data is not available, you give the estimate, that it is something like that. There was another term called guesstimate. Even when you are not able to provide estimate, at least you provide some guesswork, some guesstimate as to what is to be done so that we can proceed. I attended a number of meetings in Planning Commission, and I know how difficult it was to really gather the data from ground level and see that things ultimately take shape. So all this resulted in delay in execution, and first faulty delay in terms of planning and also delay in terms of execution. Of late, I was consulting Ministry of Agriculture for RKVY. Under RKVY, the center is supposed to give funds, and the state is also supposed to contribute from its own. But first, center has to release the funds. Now, center cannot release the fund unless we get data as to what has happened at the ground level of the funds earlier released and how much work has been done. Now, unless this this information used to take 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, so these gaps were there. And ultimately, who suffers? The state suffers. Now, because the required connects were missing or they were not all that sharp. But I am glad to share with you, my dear friends, that this connect now, it is happening. We can see it is visible. Now, how this has been possible? Obvious answer is that automation and digitization has made it possible. Now states are moving really, states and more so districts are also moving very fast forward in automating their system, their processes. And this has resulted in providing fast and hassle-free services to the citizens, right? And also timely planning and execution of the projects. Now, you see, we are talking of one stop, one shot affair, one stop shop. We want, if somebody wants to start a business, let him have a one shop, a one window approach. So he just comes, makes a request, even he need not come, he makes a request online and he gets the all approvals in from one window. No, that is happening. This not, earlier we used to say this should happen, but now I am happy to share with you that this is happening, and our people at district level, they have ensured this. Now, you see, for this panel, you must have noticed we have flagged 3 important issues. First is, if this integration or connect is happening, how do we improve upon this? Because this should not be because the COVID crisis is there, so maybe we have come together, we are quick in making things digital and all that. But how do we make it as a process, as a part of the system, so that it is there on sustainable basis? So how do we further improve this integration is one question which is hampering our mind. And what are the impediments? If we want to improve, what are the issues which are confronting us, and how do we really tackle them? So these are the 3 issues, more so with regard to the data part also, because ultimately if the data is available on real-time basis, lot many things can be done in a perfect way. So friends, with these small views which I have on the subject, may I invite Dr. Reddy, very senior IAS officer of 2007 batch. He's a collector and DM Kottagundam. I would request him to cover e-governance initiative taken in his district. And also, I think if he's taking healthcare facilities in his area for tribal families. we like to, sir, hear from you on these things, and also if you can connect it with the issues we have flagged. So over to Dr. Reddy, please.
Good morning, Madan Mohanji and all distinguished panelists and all the participants, colleagues. I'm happy to be again in these proceedings. In our district, ours is agency district, tribal district with 1280 habitations and interiorly located, as small as a few habitations, 50 habitations to 1,000 habitations. Here, the provision of government services reaching the people is the biggest challenge. And important aspect in reaching these tribal families is healthcare, and lot many diseases, seasonal diseases, malaria, dengue, lot many diseases now, COVID problems, gastroenteritis, many other gynec problems in women. So keeping all these things in view, and we can't expect the distant tribal families to reach the centers of governance, either mandal or distantly located primary health centers, and take the services. So hence we have thought, we put our minds together and then how to reach, especially the COVID has complicated and reaching provision of services, and also LW effect in the district. And 6 months ago, Godavari floods also. All this further complicated our governance initiatives in reaching these tribal families. So hence we have taken it as a challenge how to reach these people, at the same time keep the governance more effective in reaching these families. So we have taken up various initiatives. We have our e-governance initiatives. We have our portal, Samadhan portal. We have Dial Your Collector program. And then we have taken up many Zoom VC meetings and also teleconferences in such a way that the governance is not affected, and then effectively we manage up to ground level. And then as far as the healthcare initiatives are concerned, we have made mobile initiatives. Our doctors have been reaching far off places across the streams and on foot reaching, and many preventive healthcare initiatives, and also call centers and many preventive healthcare initiatives. We have focused more on preventive healthcare initiatives. All these things could be, effectively, we are able to administer. And in spite of COVID, in spite of LW and Godavari floods, etc., and we are able to effectively handle the seasonal diseases, significant reduction in the seasonal diseases. COVID also we are able to manage very effectively, and malaria has fallen down more than 50%, and the chikungunya, dengue, we are able to check completely. Gastroenteritis we could minimize. So this way we are able to handle in this interior agency district by e-governance initiatives and preventive, proactive healthcare initiatives. Thank you all.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Reddy. Should we keep questions for the end, or you would like to?
Yeah, let's keep the Q&A and discussion at the end. So let's have maybe a couple of rounds of submissions from each and every panelist. So we'll keep the discussion at the end.
Okay, now I would request DM Mahbubnagar, Mr. Rao, to please give his views on digitization of record room, and if anything else you would like to cover is most welcome. So, PM,
thank you very much, sir. A very good morning to all the dignitaries, guests, and all the panelists and all the colleagues who are joining us here today on this Scotch panel discussion on Connect Government, sir. In view of some emergency, our district collector sir had to go, so I'm filling in for him. I'm Tejas Pawar. I'm 2018 batch IS officer and currently working as additional collector local bodies here. So coming to our initiative, that is the computerization and digitization of record room. So just to give you the brief of the period before this intervention, all the files and the records with the maps which were existing in this Mehboob district from the times of 18th century, all these records were kept in a record room, and whenever we had to retrieve a particular file or a record, most of which was concerning land documents or other land acquisition related projects or some important project files, it used to be very difficult to search for those physical files. At the same time, when we consider a record room, what comes into our mind is large files which are tied up in some cloths, kept in racks. And then we have some naming system which are pasted with names or name tags, and then retrieving this is a very difficult task. At the same time, having those pages or the files which are dating back to more than 100 years and maintaining them in the record rooms with all the vulnerabilities like the weather-related problems, the rats or other decaying problems, and so on and so forth. It really gets difficult to find one single file which needs to be retrieved. And in times of emergency, if suppose, for example, we need a record in 2 days, it's really hard to find those records within those times. So considering this level of this problem and the magnitude of it and the necessity of it, understanding the severity and the criticality of the documents, it was taken up and it was decided to digitize all the records that were existing. The important fact here is more than 67,000 files, including more than 5 lakhs pages in different languages, be it Urdu, Telugu, English, and otherwise, were existing with us with the different sizes, formats, and different documentation. So converting them with the intervention, it was a software come hardware intervention where scanners of different types were utilized, and then indexing system and digitization with old records with same name tags, same file numbers, and then digitized into a system and then stored into a data center. So after the process of digitization was completed, we had to take it to and store it in a good data centers. The data center that we chose was State Data Center, which is existing in Hyderabad. And the advantage of it was to have the digital security or data security that is there. The protocols at the State Data Center are really high, and we are maintaining the same protocols. So that's why the data security is also looked into. The best part of this intervention is after the digitalization, whenever a file is required, at the click of a button with multiple key indicators or search indicators, we are able to search the file and retrieve. And the authorized person can put his initials and authorize that this is a certified copy and give it within few minutes. The best example of this that we received recently was a district was divided into multiple districts for administrative efficiency by the state. So when the new district was created, all the files associated with the district were segregated and sent at a click of a button. Some 10,000 files were sent at a click of a button to the different district, and then it was very convenient for them to go ahead with their administrative business. So the marvel of this was it has cut down the human intervention, the time for retrieval, the hazards and the hurdles in the maintaining of records. And at the same time, it has improved the service delivery for the people. Any common man who comes and requests for any kind of data, any kind of file, can get the record at a click of a button. I truly feel that it's one of the best intervention at the record rooms that we are able to bring about. Because any common man who comes here, just get it at the click of button and no other intervention or no other hassles or nuisance that used to be created at the record rooms is being felt right now. So I really feel happy, and I feel that the scalability of it, that is taking this intervention and taking up to the other levels also, the softwares and the systems that are so robust and built so convenient that it can be implemented very easily in the other districts also and other offices also. And then also the fact that once the digitized records can be accessed from the district website also. Once you go to the district website, you put a request for it, even one can get the records from the mails also. So whatever the Connect Government panel discussion that we are having today, the subject of it, the introduction that our senior panelists had given about seeing that the corruption is reduced, seeing that the service delivery is improved, see that we are in a instant era where instantly we want results. So these kind of interventions, I feel that these are a leap in the interventions and the service delivery and digital service delivery that we are trying to achieve. These are the points from my side, sir. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you very much. Now, may I invite DC Mon, Mr. Thawasilan, for his innovative initiative he has taken in testing of COVID-19. Mr. Selvan,
Sir, you are on mute.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. My respected judges, chairperson for this morning's summit, and my respective colleagues from different parts of the country. My name is Thawasilan. I'm a 2012 batch IAS officer. I'm currently the district magistrate of Mon district in Nagaland. So our project was with regards to an effective response to COVID. So there were several interventions that we'd taken up, right from ensuring, people do not suffer much during the lockdown period, right from delivering services to their doorstep to ensuring, enforcing the lockdown itself, to involving the church, the community at large for helping us in terms of every single intervention that we had during the period of the strict lockdown. And then with the gradual easing of the lockdown restrictions, again, our response was sort of graded in terms of ensuring that the cases did not spike as it eventually will when the lockdown was opened. So till now, my district has had only about 600 cases, and we've had 2 deaths, both of them very comorbid. So that's how unfortunately they were brought in. They were not willing to get tested initially, and then they were brought in when things got bad, and unfortunately we couldn't save them. So that was pretty much it. We had engaged with several. We brought in several technological interventions, right from geofencing to high-speed contact tracing, to having an app of our own, to engaging with a firm called Clapia, a web-based solution, web and app-based solution for monitoring those in quarantine. So we had several technological interventions. We had also engaged with a lot of institutions for providing relief to people during COVID itself. With all these graded measures over a period of time, we've been able to effectively contain COVID in our district. Right now, we have only about 10 active cases, but then we are actively preparing ourselves as and when the second wave eventually hits us. Our focus is on getting the oxygen plant up and running within the next 15 days. And also augmenting our store of oxygen cylinders, as well as creating multiple isolation facilities in all the subdivisions, so that we're sufficiently prepared as and when the second wave hits us. Our state has already gone into a lockdown starting today until about 14th of May. So in order to sort of combat the recent surge in COVID cases that we've had. So that's broadly from my side, sir. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Selvan. Now may I request my colleague Shri Pandaji to please offer his views.
Thank you very much, Madan Lalji. And that they have a dedicated area and a constituency for the tribals. So the district administration taken very timely needed initiative, especially focusing on health, which is a critical area. Well, that's being the action taken. There are some areas which also need to be focused. Rather, they could be some aspect need to be roped in to further improve our deliverability and our effective administration. One is that we have funds, very dedicated, and funds from the flowing from the Constitution, Article 275(1) of the Constitution, which is exclusively provided for improving the administration in the tribal areas. So this is one aspect that fund is provided very clearly, very focusedly, very specially for the improvement in the tribal areas, especially in improving upon the deliverables and etc. So health being a critical area that is being addressed by the district administration, how much of these funds have been utilized for this improving the situation of health situation? Of course, the state is doing on its own, but how much it has been used, this Article 27 funds, to further improve the situation. Number two is that you see, there is a sizable tribal population, and hence they must be having tribal subplan. A tribal subplan essentially built upon the information across the sectors which plan in terms of what is the need of the area, be it health, education, or agriculture, horticulture, what have you. So each department has to call out the deficits in the tribal areas and tribal communities and try to project that in such a way that will provide a framework as to what kind of action need to be taken, what kind of programs to be conceived, and what kind of funds need to be mobilized. And these funds could be, reflected or projected to the state plan, saying that this is our requirement for the tribal subplan. So they must be doing it. So how far they have, what is their optimum, implementation in terms of pooling of funds and utilization of funds, and what is the outcome of this tribal subplan? Number three is that as I understand that this is one of the most backward community areas of Mahbubnagar. So one of the causes for health problem is the lack of proper nutrition. In fact, this is one thing which is observed by the NIN, National Institute of Nutrition, in Hyderabad.
Mr. Panda, sorry to intervene here. The issues that you have raised, would you like Mr. Reddy to respond to it before we move on to Mahbubnagar? I think.
All right. Okay.
So, Mr. Reddy, in response to what Mr. Panda just mentioned.
Yeah. Pandaji, thank you for raising very important dimensions. And my colleagues also sitting in my office, Mr. Anudeep, we has handled the e-governance initiatives, and Dr. Chetan, who has closely handled this problem. They will also supplement me, if you permit. I'm, in fact, not comfortable with Corona. I'm positive for Corona, so I'm compelled to participate here. Anyhow, I'll try to answer.
Please get well soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. As far as the Government of India funding is concerned, absolutely in the form of SCA. In the form of SCA scheme, Special Component Assistance, substantial funds we are getting. And at the rate of 14 crores for each year, we are getting. Out of that, and around 25% we have been spending on health sector alone. And secondly, tribal subplan, I agree, state tribal subplan, the substantial funds we are getting for our district. And also national HRM funding is also there. And we are also utilizing dovetailing funds from mineral development funds here. And also corporate social responsibility funding also we are dovetailing. And as a result, we have never felt any depth of funds for supporting any health program in our district. That is the reason we are able to, decentralize initiatives. We are able to take up with all these sources of funding. And I think I request Chetan to supplement, Dr. Chetan.
So thank you, sir. Good morning to the jury and all the participating officials. Myself, Dr. Chetan, District Surveillance Officer of Bhadradri Kottagudem District. I am just adding few points, whatever mentioned. We are actually forming teams like coordination teams at mandal level and village level. So we are conducting these mandal level coordination meetings at and village level coordination meetings. There the team will notify all the problems, health problems and all other health activities at that level on Friday. And on Saturday, the mandal level meeting will be held, and there the team decides what is the problem and health activities, and information will be gathered, and any issue at their dispense, it will be solved. And on Monday, our collector sir, honorable collector sir, with district administration, sir is conducting a meeting with all the mandal level officers, and also some special officers are deployed. And there the health information is gathered, or any health issues, emergency health issues, or any sort of things, particularly about seasonal diseases, or any care to be given to this pregnant woman or other things. Immediately, sir is taking a decision, and with all the available funds, sir has providing the support in all ways in the district level, mandal level, and village level. Mainly coming to these tribal health families, we have also procured these bike ambulances, where we are providing these bike ambulances where some interior areas are approached. So these are all purchased from these funds available only, and the pregnant woman or anyone who is on emergency is being shifted towards the health facility. And also we have trained many tribal health families, some of the groups, we have chosen some people and also trained on health activities, mainly these deliveries, and also on all other aspects we have encouraged them. We have given awareness to them, and also some good knowledge to them. We have provided these kits, MCH kits, mother and child health kits, and also some of the things, so that any danger signs or any other things, they immediately act upon. We have given mobiles to them wherever there is coverage, and also we have asked them to make them communicated to the nearest health center, and also we have put district call center in the district level. So immediately the problem is addressed at the district level and also at the village point of level. So everyone is taken care of at that level. And also we have also made these with available funds. All the primary health centers, we have improved infection control practices and also the quality standards, and almost 20 of the facilities have gone for Kaikalp, and also NCOS, around 7 primary health centers were selected, and also the area hospital in the Bhadrachalam is one of the awardee for Kaikalpa and NCOS also. So almost we are targeting all the facilities for this Kaikalpa and NCOS standards, and with the funds from the district, we are able to do that. And almost we have received best quality district at the state level also from in the state of Telangana from my side.
Yes, sir. This is Anudeep, sir, Additional Collector, Bhadradri Kottagudem. You have raised very pertinent points regarding the tribal sub-plan and the welfare funding, especially for health areas. The district administration, under the guidance of Collector, sir, we have dedicated anywhere close to between 30 to 40% of our extra discretionary grants that we get through various funding, such as special central assistance and CSR, and other sources of funding for especially for health of especially the interior tribal remote villages. Some of the interventions, as my colleague has just presented, sir, they include MCH kits. So, sir, one of the major problems that we find in the districts is that when a mother is pregnant, it is very difficult to get her to the institution for institution delivery in a quick time. So the solution that we found is that to distribute MCH kit, each MCH kit worth 25,000, which includes all the necessary equipment for a safe delivery in that habitation itself. So we have done two things: one, distribution of MCH kits, and at the same time training of the personnel from the within the tribal community, so that they themselves take ownership and help the district administration, health administration, in ensuring that institutional deliveries happen with the help of such MCH kits in the remote areas itself. So this has substantially helped us in curtailing the maternal mortality rate in the district. Apart from it, sir, the nutrition is one important aspect that you have touched. And as we already are all aware from various reports of Ministry of Tribal Affairs as well, the nutrition levels, especially in scheduled tribes, is much lesser compared to national average. We have taken this problem head on, and we have improved the take-home ration for these tribal communities. So each ration packet consisting of multi-grains, which improves the protein level of these tribal women, especially anemic women. So we've taken that challenge, and we have distributed this take-home ration, especially in the tribal families. And we've also established new sub-centers in these areas so that, and also conducting regular health camps so that these areas which are prone to malaria and dengue, especially in monsoon season, they have been substantially cut down in the last 1 year with our efforts through sanitation. So all the funding from this, it has been a convergence effort. It's not like an ad hoc approach where only one aspect has been taken care of. We have taken care of a multi-pronged approach so that we have dealt with the nutrition, the MCH kits, institutional deliveries, take-home ration, the nutrition, and the anemic, including the hemoglobin levels in these tribal women. So all these efforts have bore fruit, and our seasonal diseases that used to ravage these communities have substantially come down by almost 1/10. And we are happy to share that our efforts are bearing fruit, and still there is a lot of work needs to be done, sir. The results give us encouragement to move further ahead with more energy and zeal. Thank you, sir.
One more point I would like to add here, the convergence with all the stakeholder departments, especially the municipal administration, municipalities, local bodies, Grama Panchayats, total sanitation drive we have taken up as a supplement. The funds flow from that aspect is not measured here. The Grama Panchayats, total sanitation drive in this COVID pandemic, the bleaching powder application, the fogging activities, and then the hotspots, meticulous sanitation activities. All these things are not measured in terms of finances. The convergence effect, as my officer, Dr. Chetan, has indicated, regularly, frequently convergence meetings at village, mandal, and district level to assess from time to time the health situation, the interventions required, the funding required, the initiatives required. Ultimately, our malaria incident from 1,081 cases in 2018 has gone down to 250. Dengue cases to 694 in 2018 has gone to 26. Typhoid 2,183 to 56. MMR from 180 to 82. IMR from 24 to 17. And we have focused all preventive healthcare activities, deworming, vaccination, 100% coverage, more or less. So all these activities have resulted in a significant health improvement and sufferance of these tribal families. Thank you.
Good. Yes, Mr. Pandey, would you like to continue, or is there any officer to continue?
No, we will go to the second one, but one thing that I would like to suggest is that, you see, since you have done you have taken care of many areas concerning health, and if we can reflect upon as to what improvement has been brought in clear, measurable terms, like you spelled out in typhoid, malaria, etc., and other indicators in health council, MMR, IMR, institutional delivery, if we can reflect upon them, that will reflect our efforts and achievements as well.
Thank you. We will do. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Panda, you want to continue, or?
No, we can go to the next one.
Okay. So good. First of all, Dr. Reddy, thank you very much. You being not in best of your health, but you are still there. That shows your commitment to the cause and the commitment for your district and the country. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure and privilege to be with SCOACH and who recognize our initiatives and our team's effort. Thank you very much.
I got the opportunity to interact with you earlier also, and I was really thrilled. Now, sir,
thank you, Reddy garu. Tondaraga health bagu cheskondi.
Chala santosham Panda garu. Very kind of you. Thank you.
Can I have a question, please? Can I have a question, Dr. Reddy?
Yes, please. Yes.
No, you very well said and very well explained how you connected through proper convergence meetings in your district with the various people at block level, village level, tribal women and all that. That's excellent. Tell me any connect between the center and the state, because any funding from center for this purpose or any other initiative from center and any integration of that?
Yeah. As I already explained, my colleague officer also explained, SCA is the main connectivity. SCA, Special Component Assistance Plan, is the main connectivity. And NHRM is another connectivity. And recently, serial-based project is formulated, and Niti Aayog has approved it, and we are going to implement that multi-serial based diet for the tribal children in Anganwadis. That is another project which is almost approved and then under implementation.
No, but how it is working, no? Are you satisfied with the type of support you are getting from the center?
Yeah, the support, the financial assistance we are getting through SCA, we are utilizing them. And then NHRM funds also, sufficient funds are there. There is no debt, and we have funds with us. The balance funds also available. We have been spending whenever we require. So that is very much central assistance is very much there for health schemes. And third, the serial-based project is also approved, and it is about to be implemented. Absolutely, we are getting very good support from center.
Any suggestions you have in mind for further?
Yeah, one suggestion would be what we have been feeling in the launching in the tribal area is a distantly located, more decentralized healthcare devices like barefoot with the paraprofessionals or doctors with either two-wheelers, more four-wheelers, with well-furnished equipment and medicines will further serve the interests of the, and also along with the audio visuals in order to orient on the first aid and healthcare will further supplement our efforts.
Good. So, thank you. Any other panelists will like to react or offer some comments on what Dr. Reddy said?
Panda, in fact, was asking a question from Mehboob Nagar. Ms. Panda, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, Mehboob Nagar, yes. Yeah, it's Mehboob Nagar. See, this is one of the very pioneer work they have done besides the National Archives, which are done, that they have called on the records, which is a Hercules task, and they have digitized every bit of it. But there is a small challenge that you see because they are multilingual, the Urdu, Telugu, vis-a-vis in English. Though when they codify, how they do it, whether they, suppose in Urdu, and when they codify this, do they translate into English, and does the translation reflect the truth, and is that verified? Number two is that you see the data which we have collected since the 18th century. It is a long down time, you know. Is the data gross has been collected in the order of chronology, like especially land records. Land records is a very complicated area. The lands have gone hand to hand and place to place, and divisions take place in different ways. So has it been, you know, taken into control, and has it been codified in such a way in digitalization that you can connect the data of 1800 or whenever it inception of this data to present date, saying that this has been the chronological order of this particular land or place or whatever. Number two is that you see this kind of data which has it been utilized in resolving the disputes and how much is that? Number three is that you see there are other, there is need to be a dedicated archive which was suggested earlier to preserve these documents in such a way that they are remain protected in such a way that remain intact and legible. So what action is taken on this? These are first three things I would like to know.
Sir, thank you, sir. Regarding the first issue that you mentioned, sir, the language issue, all the documents that are being scanned are, since they are scanned, will be in the same language, but the indexing and the nomenclature that we use will be with the same subject. The file, suppose it's relating with the land matters of the earlier days, the file number will be noted such that the year of the file, since it was started, that year will be taken note, the section which the system that is existing since the earlier times, the section, the file number, which will be included. The other fact is the subject of the file. The subject is translated. The file relating to, be it in Urdu, the subject is translated and included in the nomenclature and the indexing that we do. The next aspect is some of the keywords that are associated with the file. For example, it deals with the land acquisition of the old project that is existing in Mahbubnagar, or be it about the land records or the maps that were existing since earlier times. So these keywords are incorporated. So when we go for searching, either we search by the topic, we search by the year of the generation of the file, or some of the keywords. That way we are able to segregate in multiple parameters, and then the required file can be found out immediately. That is one, sir. Regarding the second, aspect that you brought about the land records and its importance, it's truly the fact is that land records have to be preserved for a very long period of time, since they are very crucial. And then digitization of this is helping us. And the chronology that you said, suppose a file containing data or the facts or maps about particular section of land, the same file gets continued. We don't create a new file for same record of land or same related subjects. So all this file is built up, be it a large file, be it in volumes, it will be created and stored in the same format. So that way it's very easy for us to retrieve. And also when we are searching in terms of the connected chronological aspects, the keywords that we use, the connected files also pop up. So that way we are able to access those files also. Regarding the third aspect of use of this, the intervention that we have put in, one or two examples I'd like to give is, generally when high courts, when considering some of the land issues or some of the cases which are long pending, they request for documents from the district administration and the record room. It's very easy for us to retrieve them and send a certified copy. Earlier, majority of times the field level persons, they'll say that the record not found and sign it and send it. That aspect has hugely come down. There are more than around 4,000 to 5,000 instances where we were able to retrieve file and give it to other districts also. My district being the headquarter of the erstwhile district, there are 5 districts which are carved out now out of the erstwhile Mahbubnagar district. So the records which are requested from other district collectors also. There is Nagar Karnool, there is Vanaparthi, there is Narayanpet, there is Jogulamba Gadwal. These district collectors also, when dealing with some issues, they request for files. Within a fraction of seconds after getting a mail from their administrative officer, our administration officer is immediately retrieve files and then give it to them for their further perusal. So in case of dispute resolution, also the land matter cases which are pending in our courts, I mean the district level land issues, or in the courts of the high courts or local district courts, the data is very handy because the chronology and history of the land records comes very handy in terms of this. The last point that you raised, sir, regarding creating of archives, we had a group discussion with our senior district officer under the leadership of our district collector, sir, also with the technical team that is supporting us in this digital initiative regarding the creation of archives, sir. But as you know, we are in pandemic since last 1 month, since our discussion last happened, sir. The plans are being prepared, but right now, I'll be honest that we are little busy with the COVID pandemic, sir. Once this gets over, we'll be taking up the archive issues very seriously, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Sondu.
Thank you, sir.
And the other districts which are related to this comprehensive database that your archives you created, they have their units, or they collect it from a centralized, kind of archive?
Once the districts were created, the physical files associated with those districts were actually given to them. But since it was digitized beforehand, we have those records in a digital system also, and they are able to access this also. Some of the records as per instructions are to be maintained in the erstwhile districts only. So it's with us and not with them.
Yeah, this is one area. Maybe you give it to the local university, University of Hyderabad somewhere, to see that how best they can utilize in understanding the historical perspective of the land utilization, land inheritance, succession. So this will give a great reflection of how the Nizam's administration has transmitted to the British, the government of India, and what happened. This will be a great area for exposing our understanding as to how land records have been reflecting upon the history and land use.
Sure, sir. We'll get in touch with the local university, sir, and we'll try to pursue this aspect of study also, sir.
I have a small question. See, you have done a Herculean task really in 100+ years land documents to be digitized. So just something which comes in my mind is how much it has cost. I mean, was it done internally or some agency was involved? Number one. Number two, how are the, I mean, is it the only digitization you have done, this record digitization, or others are also in offering, or others have been done? So if you can share in your place, so I'll be happy to know that.
The agency that was engaged was an outsourced agency. We had taken services of a specialized agency who's engaged in digitization. The earlier collector, sir, who was there had screened some agencies and chose these people who had the competency to take care of this activity. The rate that we used was 60 paisa per page, and we had scanned this document. So it turned out to be around 30-35 lakhs. So per page basis we have digitized. Then there is a unit cost for the software that we are utilizing, which was created by them, and it has a yearly billing. That is for the maintenance also. They'll be maintaining it for us, and they'll be charging us, and we'll be paying them. Then other aspect is, sir, we are stepping this up into other offices of the district also. So the division office which is existing in the Mahabubnagar district is also being digitized. At the same time, another aspect that we have taken up is the digitization of service records. Generally, what happens is if a person gets transferred to other districts, the records don't move, or the files of the updation of record doesn't happen. So after digitization, these kind of initiatives and venturing into other records which can be digitized, that also we are taking up, sir. Even the other districts we are requesting, and there are requests to the agency that we're engaged. There are 2-3 districts which are already approached to this agency for digitization of records in their districts. And third aspect that I want to highlight, sir, that even the current files that we are running in all offices in Mahabubnagar, we utilize e-office system. So already whatever files are being generated, new files that we are generating are only digital files. And all these files at the end of the year, when we review all those file system as per the norms, and all these files will be then transferred to the digital domain that is already being created, sir.
Good. Thank you.
In fact, this is quite a challenging task, to digitize, first to pick up all the records which are lying scattered, as you rightly mentioned, that, in those big either sacks or, the red cloth and in the storeroom. So while you have actually done it, so more than 55 lakh pages, which is what you mentioned, it's a mammoth task. How long did it take you to finish this?
Sir, it took us almost 6 months to do that, sir. Mm-hmm. That too on a measured mode with a different kind of scanners. That was the big issue. Since if it's a A4 size, a single type of scanner, and multiple number of scanners can do it. But different sizes, some maps which are almost the cartographical maps which are of big size, A1 size sheets also. So we had to engage some different kind of scanners also. There are 6 to 7 types of scanners which we used. And the dedicated team from the agency only. The agency took the full responsibility of it. and they had a very efficient staff to take care of these activities also. The page handling also was another issue, sir, because since the pages are very old, so getting them spread on a paper or a table, A1 size sheets, so seeing that it's not torn out even when we are opening. So these critical issues were also taken into account, sir.
So you have now 100% digitization of all records, including property and land?
Yes, sir.
Is it the case with the other districts as well? If I may move over to Mr. Reddy and Mohan, have you also done something similar or in the process of doing it?
Can I ask you to please repeat, ma'am?
What I'm saying that, you know, while Mahbubnagar has done a phenomenal job in converting all their paper records into digital, they've finished doing more than 55 lakh pages, which is a great effort. So have you also done something similar at your end, wherein all the district records are?
Yeah, I think they are in an advanced stage, and then we have started. We have taken up the initiative, but we have not gone with that speed the Mahbubnagar has gone. Yeah.
So,
a small point from my side, sir, if you permit.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Sir, the existing records, the all record system in the state of Telangana is shifted to the Dharani portal, sir, the digitization. So we have across the Telangana, all the records are now digitized, and all the land record transactions happen through a Dharani portal, sir. It's a new initiative which you might be also aware about, and in the last 1 year or so, the huge transition from paper-based transaction to simultaneous registration and mutation system has already happened in Telangana, sir. It's a great achievement that we are proud of, sir.
Recently, the exercise has been started by Ministry of IT, and we've also been working very closely with them on the the dematerialization of land and property records. So have you made any progress there on that count as a state and as a district?
Yes, sir. As a state, through the Dharani portal, all the records that are existing, except for some few percentage of disputed issues which are still pending in courts maybe, all other records are digitized, all the transactions are digital. And simultaneously, when we go for a transaction, the real-time registration at the same time mutation happens, which used to take a lot of time and which used to create a lot of litigation. That is almost being cut down in Telangana, sir. I would if our collector sir from Bhadradi Kottagudem, he can also join in and give a small inputs if he wishes to, sir, regarding this Dharani portal. He's been the head of the institution there also, sir.
Were there any difficult situations? Sorry.
Mr. Reddy would like to say something.
Yeah, I think as my colleague from Mahbubnagar has indicated, that the digitization of land records initiative is taken up by the government, and every district has started. And the only thing is Mahbubnagar has gone with speed, and then they have come to this stage. And this is an initiative, all the records, all those plans, nakshas, and all those things have to be, because they have become quite old, and that there is also a manipulation happening, losing of records. To overcome all these problems, and this initiative is taken by the government, and absolutely in every district it has taken up in different stages. It is there. I think this is going to, maybe because of COVID pandemic and that, and this item is not receiving the required focus at present. But this needs to be done, and we will also absolutely will speed it up.
Great. Mr. Panda, you have?
Yeah. I just wanted to know, what are the specific challenges or impediments that you face in the process? And see, I'll give an example. I mean, the first land records, revenue records started in Ganjam district of Orissa during British time, when it started, the first. Now, since the Ganjam district stands as 12 Ganjam districts stay divided between Srikakulam and Ganjam, Orissa, the records are in either places and are nowhere. So it's been a great challenge to make connection with the data both chronologically and also administrative wise. Have you faced such situations?
Sir, actually, as of now, we have not faced such situations, sir. But all the records, since the copy was with us, being the head of the erstwhile district, all the documents which were here will digitize here only. So that was another advantage for us. For the Mahabubnagar district, we were able to digitize them.
No, that means that you have all the information digitized on all the land, not necessarily what have you in records in the past and now. Has every part of land has been digitized now?
Sir, if you are saying that the maps of the existing land records which are digitized, then it's not, sir. Whatever records and files which were existing, or the existing land records in the form of file which was existing, is digitized.
Do they synchronize in the present day and the past?
Sir, whatever is, sir, the current system on the land, so whatever is the field position is not exactly similar to what the land records say. It is not, the land record updation is a separate aspect which is being taken up by the state government. We have only focused on digitization of land, record room, which was existing in our purview. And the records which are old records which are digitized, but the part where the state government is, which is taking up, is all the records and maps which are to be integrated and then digitized. That part has not happened, sir.
No, but you said that in dispute resolution, the judiciary also takes account of your records.
Yes, sir.
Unless they are matching with the present record, do they go by the past record, or they also see that this matches with the present record?
Sir, whatever the current records are required, the current records from the record rooms, the portal, Dharani portal, is immediately retrieved. For the old references that is required, they call for these kind of files which are existing for so-and-so survey number or so-and-so records. And if it's related to land acquisition, the complete file would be with us, and that we'll be utilizing and giving it to the concerned authorities.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Thank you, sir.
Good.
Yes. Now, Mr. Mon, DC from Mon, would you like to add something, sir, in this regard?
Please unmute yourself.
Is he there?
Sorry, I'm sorry. So in the Northeast, the land system is pretty different in each of the states. In Nagaland, it's primarily community owned. So we've not had a cadastral survey done. So this initiative effort wouldn't be sort of applicable to us.
Okay, from my side, can you just share some of the difficulties or issues you faced in implementing your project, especially in Nagaland?
Right. So I presume you're talking about COVID-19, isn't it?
Second question related to what is the present scenario in terms of testing? Sure.
So as far as the response to COVID-19 was concerned, I mean, Mon is like typically the northeast of the northeast. This is right at the international border with Myanmar. So we have a lot of villages which are inaccessible. The roads are not. The roads to all the villages, they're not all weather roads. So we have communication issues, we have access issues, and being a very remote area, things that are taken for granted in the rest of the country are sort of difficult when it comes to implementing on the ground. But then we had a lot of support from the community. I mean, the church is a very, very strong influencer in this part of the country. My state, Nagaland, has about 16 tribes. So my district is predominantly inhabited by one tribe. So the apex bodies of this tribe, it's called the Konyak Union, and then the Apex Women's Organization, and then the Students Union, the church, all of them had come in together in a big way. We had about, very, very, comparable to the rest of the country, we had about 1,500 people, 1,500 to 2,000 people coming back from the rest of the country. So we had a very rigid quarantine protocol. We had quarantined them, we had institutionally quarantined them for 28 days. So the state government was supporting in terms of, quarantine for about 14 days, taking care of the expenses. So the community had gone in for a crowdfunding campaign of sorts led by the administration. We had raised resources for taking care of their the expenses for the remaining 14 days. So we had to be absolutely careful that as long as possible the virus didn't spread into the community. That was a big challenge, in addition to the challenges that we had mentioned earlier. So in terms of, so we also, my PPT has details about something known as a COVID adaptive response model. It's not a care model, something that's very unique to our district. So essentially, at the heart of this care model, we're requesting everyone to behave as if, they're asymptomatic carrier of the virus. So, and behave at every location, whether you're at home or you're out in the public or you're in office, you have to believe that you're carrying the virus and you don't want to infect anyone else. So behave in such a way. And then so this care model also has sort of components for a permanent behavioral change. Of course, it's a long-term project. So we'll be talking about behavioral change in terms of COVID appropriate behavior, behavioral change in terms of food habits, personal hygiene, use of technology. So there's an ongoing effort where we've been training people at various levels, at the ward level, at the block level, at the village level. We've trained volunteers who would be administering. We've developed a COVID awareness questionnaire where the people in the villages, every household would be administered this questionnaire, and then they'll be given ongoing training on changes in terms of their personal diet, in terms of their hygiene, their daily lifestyle, COVID appropriate behavior, and the need to keep maintaining it even as we go forward, because COVID is here to stay. So that's an ongoing effort. Right now, our focus is on two things. One is we have just about 10 active cases right now in the district. But then, like the rest of the country, most of them are turning symptomatic this time around. So which underscores the seriousness of the strains that we're getting affected with this time on. On the one hand, we're rapidly preparing ourselves for as and when the wave hits us. That's one. And the second, we're accelerating our vaccination. So the government of Nagaland has decided to freely vaccinate everyone between 18 to 44 years as well. So we're waiting for our shipment of vaccines to reach the state. So we'll be having outreach sessions in all the villages. We are taking appropriate care to ensure that if there is an AEFI case, we have teams in place to address that. So that's the way we're reaching out to the population, so to say, in order to maximize the coverage. So vaccination plus adequate preparation, as in the time that we've been given, thankfully, is the way forward for us. That would broadly be what we're working on.
Good. Just tell me one thing. Any support from center?
Sorry, sir?
Any support you have from center?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So in fact, the oxygen...
With that?
Sorry, sir?
Are you satisfied with that?
We are, sir. We are. As a whole, the state has been receiving a lot of support from the center. In fact, our oxygen generation plants are going to be airlifted by the Ministry of Defense to Nagaland so that we can cut down on the train travel time. So we are getting every single possible help there is.
Okay, good. So any questions?
I would make one submission here. As we all understand that the districts are the face of the government, while all our efforts are geared to deliver to the citizens' expectations, we have number of portals, we have number of applications wherein the citizen has to individually log into maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, as many services he wants. He will have to log into that, register himself. Why is it that we haven't done a single sign-on for the citizens so that you have a single view of the citizen, as much as I said in the beginning, citizen have a single view of the government? So let me start with Dr. Reddy. Please unmute yourself, Dr. Reddy.
Once again, do apologize.
Yeah. So what I'm asking is that you are delivering citizen services of all kinds. everything has been digitized, everything is being delivered online, you know, the paper is being removed. How well do you know your citizen? Are you still doing the supply side? You have started responding to the demands. So why not citizen have a single sign-on so that they know what they want and you also are able to track?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I agree with you. It's high time that we need to develop those systems. Though we are trying our best now to reach the citizens through various means, but the single window and then citizen-centric systems have to be developed. I think I agree with you.
So what are your challenges there?
Yeah, challenges is one thing is the development of the software and bringing all citizens online, and then having a committed government system. I think these are the three challenges I could see.
Mahbubnagar?
Additional Collector speaking, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Those are the challenges, as Collector sir has just mentioned. Apart from it, being a tribal and remote district, we always face this challenge of bringing people on board because of the high amount of illiteracy and also non-tech savviness, that non-familiarity with the technology. So that is always a challenge in a remote district like Bhadradri Kottagudem. We have been trying using various platforms under the guidance of Collector sir. We have been using self-help groups and village level organizations to make people focused on these aspects, that how well they can utilize government services by utilization of technology. That debate has always been continuing, and we have been seeing improvement of more and more participation, whether it is in dialogue collector initiatives or whether the public grievances that are uploaded online. Everywhere that we are seeing that public are more and more using the technology to reach the administration. So it's a working progress, sir. As you have rightly said, a single sign-on, a single window where a citizen can log in to get his ration card, Aadhaar card, or his disability certificate or birth certificate, everything. It should be as simple as a click of a button or a flick of a thumb. We are working towards that system, sir. It's still a work in progress. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mahbubnagar?
Just one related question to this. What is the feedback mechanism? Have you developed any feedback mechanism also from you, so that whatever, things you have introduced or initiatives you have taken, how the citizens have reacted to that?
Yes, sir. Mostly through public platforms. We have been utilizing the self-help groups because Telangana is very rich in a strong SHG community network. Yes, sir. So they have been pioneering in terms of entrepreneurship, taking new initiatives. So the major platform that we have been getting feedback from is through mandal level officers, where the village level organization will conduct a weekly meeting. They discuss their issues and then they convey it to the mandal level officer. And every week, at least once or twice, we'll have a direct conversation with the mandal level officers and get the feedback that what the public is thinking regarding whether it's the COVID wave or any other challenge, whether it's other flagship scheme of the government. If there are, or let's say if it's a hot summer and if they're facing any issues with regarding heat strokes and all that issues, we immediately get through the mandal level officers, and also direct coordination with sarpanchas and the ground level panchayat raj institutions. I think it's called that proverbial hearing from the horse's mouth. They themselves come and tell their problems directly to the collector, sir. So through technology, it has bridged the gap very seamlessly. And initially, it used to take so much of time where the collector used to send letter and it would go to the panchayati raj or panchayat after a week. But nowadays, it's been so seamless that in every mandal and we have arranged a state-of-the-art video conferencing system. Just as how we are discussing this award function sitting across the country in the district as well, we have been utilizing this video conferencing technology to take direct feedback, not just from mandal officers, but also from sarpanchas and ground level SHG groups. They have been our partners in this e-governance initiatives.
Yeah, in addition to what my officer told, Diary or collector, every week we have face-to-face with citizens, and we get a lot of feedback from that. And we always keep our eyes and ears open to our WhatsApp and Twitter also. And we track them, we record them, and also we react on them. And of course, the media is, of course, very important. Every day in media, whatever the public opinion, adverse, all those things also we track very closely and we act on them. In addition to that, periodically we connect through our teleconferencing, GTA Group Talk application, and we get connected to all sarpanchas of all the 1280 habitations, and we also talk to them. We also take their versions and grievances also. That's how we, so far we have been going ahead.
Good. As a part of suggestion only, wherever required or wherever felt necessary, you can think of third-party assessment also.
Yes, I think, yeah.
Good.
Thank you for the session. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, sir, Mr.
Mehboob Nagar wanted to say, make a submission on the single sign-on.
Sir, all the points which our collector sir and my batchmate from Bhadradi had pointed out, these are some of the issues which they face, similar issues we are facing. The point that you brought up about single window system or having a single point of contact is much necessary, because on one end we are trying to battle the issues of illiteracy or digital illiteracy, and the other end there are so many apps, so many interventions that are coming up. So multiplicity of it is also creating an issue. So having one single integrated platform will definitely take us there, sir. And second, one small add-on to all the points that they've made is the other point is regarding the data security or the authenticity of the data that is coming up. So whatever reports are coming from the field level, who's authenticating it? Earlier, what we used to have is the, let's say, mandal level officer or the district level officer will put his initials on the record or the facts that we're submitting. So there was some kind of responsibility that was built in. But right now, when we are reporting in terms of digital, are we taking care of that? That is one aspect, sir. And second point is the instantaneousness, which needs to be maintained. So in this era, the consumption of data 1 month back, which we had got, may not be useful right now. So how fast we are able to get the feedback from the field, that is another aspect that we need to look into, sir. And also, while collecting data, the another intervention that we should look for is whatever system we had of authentication earlier, it has to be replaced with the incentivization. So what is the incentive that the person has to report correct data? These are the small interventions we'll have to look into. And then with the point that you put up about the single window system, and then the points that Mr. Anudeep and the collector sir mentioned, if we integrate all this, and in the coming years, I feel the day is not far when we'll have real-time decision making based on the feedbacks that we get, and also real-time service delivery that we are looking forward to through this initiative, sir.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. Mr. Panda is there, please. Would you like to sum up, Mr. Panda?
Yeah. The 3 district presentations made a very remarkable opening of thoughts, especially as they taken the steps in improvising, in integrating integration and connectivity aspects. The first part of the Mehboob district is that they have come out digitization, which is now a key area of governance, and they have effectively handling the same thing, and especially in maintaining the land records through digging out from the past and taking the Hercules task of translation, coding, and subject index making, and other archive-related aspects. This is something which every district needs to do, because every district has its own history and legacy as records land record. So this is one intervention is much needed across the country. And that I hope will be taken up other districts and regions as well. As regards Kottagudem, you see, as Reddy Saab has rightly said, this is one of the most backward tribal. It has most backward tribal areas, especially in terms of health. But they have taken enough steps to ensure that they are maximizing the tribal sub-plan and also utilizing in terms of connecting with the programs of central and state. They are utilizing the special central assistance provided in the tribal sub-plan, and they also in the process of also probably maximizing, optimizing the funds available under Article 75(1), which is given to improve upon the administration and administrative infrastructure that is required in the tribal areas, and especially in the health areas. And the other aspect is that the tribal sub-plan, which is mentioned, is very rightly the state government is doing. I think they have a legislation in place to ensure that they are thinking, they are not only formulating a tribal sub-plan, but implementing it in such a way. And this tribal sub-plan, when they prepare now, although they have mentioned that some outcomes in terms of reduction in the malaria cases and typhoid, but it has to be comprehensive health indicator-based, document they have to bring about, saying that with their intervention, the initiative they've done with various programs, strategies, how much change it has brought out in terms of improvement in the health situation of the tribals in the area. That will give a good deal of assurance and also a kind of a guidelines of other tribal areas which are looking forward to such initiatives. And the Mon district, yes, they have, this is as rightly the collector said, that this is in a different scenario, because this is a community-based society, and the implementation process, not only the community but the church also plays a greater role in this. But there are some areas which are need to be worried about as to that how much coverage of the population in the area is done in terms of identifying or checking with the possible COVID cases when things are asymptomatic. And number two, that as I remember last discussion, we know that lots of people, transports come in terms of bringing about the necessities and other things to the area. How they regulate this inflow of population into the area and how they check with this prevention of these things. But overall, the community awareness that they're doing through providing a questionnaire and also bringing about awareness through the people is a commendable job. But it is easier. But the thing is that the COVID has assumed a different strand, right? It's going through constant mutation. So in this mutant situation, how do we are proactive as to what things may come? Are there any plan? Because this is a little isolated district comparing to rest of the mainland India. So they have to be pretty independent in terms of planning at the local level and ensuring that before the help and everything comes through connectivity of the governance, center, state, and also physical connectivity, they should be aware of that they are protecting and themselves are in all worst eventuality that God forbid may not come, but we can't rule out.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Panda. So friends, I think it's time to conclude this session. Thank you very much to the distinguished panelists. It has been a very wonderful presentation and very wonderful interaction. Especially I learned a lot in the process. Now, one or two things which I have observed is that most of you are of the opinion that State Connect is good. I mean, there is no obvious problem which you have highlighted. And so is state and district level connect, because that is how the things have happened for the good. because of the good connect at state and district level and below. Now, one thing which all of you have said is that though digitization has happened, but citizen services really have yet to reach the stage of that single window concept, as we call it, or a single platform. So I'm sure with a state like Telangana, where you are really ahead of other states, I think this will come sooner than later. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you, Scotch, for giving us this opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Kushavan.
Well, thank you so much, Madan Mohanji, and all our panelists, and the excellent summing up which was done by Mr. Pandra. What gives me happiness out of this entire discussion is that I could see all the initiatives are getting driven by a process. Of course, there are champions who are driving it, but what used to be the case earlier, then if it is led by a champion and the champion goes, the project also goes along with it. But here, most of the interventions have been now made to be driven by rather than go down. Well, my congratulations to everyone for having done excellent work, and thank you all very much for joining us.